welcome to an extra edition of CNN 10. You can catch our regularly scheduled 10-minute show on CNN10.com or our YouTube channel, of course. This edition focuses on a story that gripped a lot of people across the U.S. over the past week. Conservative activist Charlie Kirk was shot and killed on September 10th on the Utah Valley University campus during an event for his Turning Point USA, a political organization that advocates for conservative politics. The assassination sent shockwaves throughout the nation and has quickly become one of the most divisive moments in modern U.S. politics. Kirk traveled to campuses across the country, promoting his culturally conservative views on topics like gun rights, abortion, and gender and sexual identity, all while encouraging others to debate with him on their views on such topics. Many of the debates turned very passionate at times, with both sides really trying to hammer home their beliefs. But on September 10th, Kirk was fatally shot. And what's worse, this tragic event, this senseless act of violence, was also far from an isolated incident. Kirk's murder was the latest in a troubling trend of politically motivated violence across the ideological spectrum. It came less than 3 months after a Minnesota Democratic state lawmaker and her husband were shot and killed in their home by a man police say had a list of prominent political targets. Just 6 months before the Kirk shooting, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro and his family were forced to flee the governor's mansion after a man set it to fire as they slept. And last summer, there were 2 assassination attempts against then presidential candidate Donald Trump. We are a nation that was founded in part on the idea of freedom of speech. But how can we feel safe to speak freely if such unconscionable acts have increasingly become the very sad and concerning norm? And this is where we can come in and potentially lower the temperature and weaken the vitriol that divides us. One of the greatest lessons I learned from my days of playing football in the NFL, back through my collegiate and childhood days as well, was that respecting each other's differences is one of the greatest keys to success. I played on teams with people from all different types of ethnic, socioeconomic, and religious backgrounds, but we all came together and worked with one another towards a common goal. When things go wrong, we talk about it, even off the field. When the community or country goes through tough times and the diversity of opinions might be as varied as you can imagine, teammates and coaches learn from each other, love each other despite any differences, and grow better together. Charlie Kirk was a fan of the University of Oregon football team, and their head coach, Dan Lanning, says people could learn some valuable lessons through sports as he tried to put into perspective the current state of politics in the U.S. Listen.
The U.S. could learn a lot from our locker room. I think the people in this world can learn a lot from our locker room. You walk in that locker room, you got guys of different races, guys of different backgrounds, different religions, and you got a team that loves each other. Like tons of differences, where they come from, what they deal with, and ultimately you got a team that loves each other. And I think we're missing some of that in our country. You know, you talk about, you recently found out like Charlie Kirk was a Oregon fan, right? I didn't know that. I heard for his wife, Erica, and their kids, like that sort of evil should never exist in our country. And that's what it is, it's evil. Like, I remember having to explain that to my family, right? I remember sitting down with my kids and explaining what happened, and they're talking about people talking about it at school, and it's just sad, right? But it's just as sad, you know, every day it seems like we deal with some sort of violence that's going on in our country, whether it's, you know, school kids in Colorado or kids in Minnesota at churches. I mean, life matters, you know, and I think we've lost sight of that, but I wish the world could learn a little bit of something from our locker room, because we got a bunch of people with differences, and what you got in there is a bunch of people that love there. And there's some people that'll be disappointed about how much I said about this, right? And there'll be some people that are disappointed that I didn't say enough, right? And I really don't care. Right? What I do care about is if you disagree with me, if you hate me, if you don't like me, just know this, I love you. I absolutely love you, right? And life matters. And that's no way that Charlie should have experienced that, his family should have experienced that. There's no way that evil should exist in this world, and we have to continue to identify it and point it out and make sure that it's absolutely evil. There's no reason in the world that our kids, we should be worried about sending our kids to school. It's our most valuable commodity in the world. They should be protected. And the reality is there's just not a lot of common sense on both sides. Like common sense says, oh, it's mental health, right? Common sense says, oh, it's guns. You know what? It's both. Like, let's have some common sense. Our kids should be the most protected thing in the world, right? They should have armed guards at every school, because there's sick people. There's sick people in this world, right? And on top of that, sick people need help. And it should be really hard for a sick person to have a gun. It should be really hard. right? And if people can't see that from both sides, how disappointing is that? At some point, we need to go look at sports, because what our football team has is it has people on both sides of the fence, right? And there's fans that love our team that have a lot of different opinions. And the truth is, there's a lot of things Charlie said that I did not agree with at all. There's a lot of things he said that I did agree with. But what's disappointing is I can respect those differences, and somebody else couldn't. And they thought that they deserved to be God in that moment, and they didn't.
Powerful perspective. The best teams, best workplaces, and tightly knit households learn from mistakes. When something bad happens, they come together and figure out a plan to mend and move forward together. So let's use this tragic event to have some healthy conversations with friends and family. Discuss how we can all be part of the solution, helping each other realize that we can disagree without hating each other, that we can still show love for each other despite any differences. I'll see you tomorrow, everyone. I'm Coy Wire, and we are CNN 10.